This is
This
the previous
conference will
class.
now be recorded.
Let us continue further. So next we have something called experience-based testing. Generally, experienced testers are going to perform this particular test. Here we have two things: error guessing testing, and other one is exploratory testing. And what is this error guessing testing? See, I'm a tester. I have some experience. Assume I already tested previously 2-3 banking softwares. Now another banking software I'm testing. So I have already an experience in testing the banking software. So I'll have an idea at which part of the software problems might occur, so that I can directly go to that particular part of the software, the new software, and I'll identify the errors in that particular software. This is what we call error guessing testing. With my previous knowledge, what I have on similar type of software, I can guess the error, I can look for that particular error. Whereas exploratory testing means, let's say I have some mobile application testing knowledge. Now I'm testing a mobile application. But now in that mobile application, some artificial intelligence AI concepts are introduced. Generally nowadays for camera and such, the companies are using AI for faster performance. But I have zero knowledge on AI. Then what my company will do, the company will give training to me on AI domain. After gaining some knowledge on the AI domain, I can I can explore my knowledge in testing that AI features in the mobile application. So generally in real-time organizations, any new technology comes into the market, they don't train the freshers on that. Already experienced guys will be there. The development companies are going to train those experienced guys on the new technologies, that they can adapt fastly to the technology with their experience they are having in the previous days, and they can able to apply that knowledge on the explore their knowledge on the existing software. That is what we call exploratory testing. So these are the different test design techniques or testing methodologies to conduct our software testing. What is the most important thing is black box testing techniques are very much important for us. Now, let us move on to the very much important chapter. Stlc stands for Software Test Life Cycle. See, till now what we're doing, concept wise we learned. First, what is quality? What is the difference between quality assurance, quality control, and what is static testing? What is dynamic testing? In dynamic testing, what are the different levels of software testing? Like what is unit testing? What is integration testing? System testing, UAT, release and maintenance testings. Again, under system testing, we learned about functional and non-functional tests. Then we discussed about testing methodologies like white box testing, black box testing, like that. But when you join in a company, you don't work like a concept wise or chapter wise. You will follow some process in the real time organization to conduct your software testing. That procedure is what we call as software test lifecycle. So, as a tester in a real time organization, we will make use of software test lifecycle process to conduct our software testing. Let us see what is this STLC. Different people of the testing department will involve in this particular STLC process, and it consists of different phases. Each phase will take some input and it delivers some output. Let us see first of all what are the different phases we have and who will conduct that phase, what is the input for that, what in the phase we are going to do, and what is the deliverable from that particular phase. Mostly different documents are delivered at different phases. Let us see what are those STLC phases we have. This is how the STLC phase is going to be. Test initiation is the first phase we are having, followed by test planning. Then the very much important phase, test design phase. Next we have test execution phase. Parallelly we have defect reporting phase. And finally test closure phase. Test initiation, test planning, test design, test execution, parallelly defect reporting, and test closure phase. And each phase will be carried by different people, and by taking some input, perform some operation, deliver some output. So who will do this test initiation phase? The test initiation phase is conducted by project manager or product owner. Test planning phase is conducted by test lead or scrum master. This is non-agile model. And this is agile. In non-agile model, project manager will conduct the test initiation. Product owner in agile model will conduct the test initiation. In case of test planning, test leader or scrum master is going to do. Test design, test execution, defect reporting will be conducted by testers. And test closure will be conducted by test lead and project manager or product owner, scrum master. These are the people who will conduct the test closure phase. Let us see first of all what is this test initiation. Test initiation is nothing but the product owner or project manager is going to define an approach for your software testing. What kind of approach to be followed in the software testing will be defined with the help of this test initiation phase. Let us see what the product owner or project manager is going to do here. The corresponding PO or PM is going to design one document called as test strategy document in the test initiation phase. So what is test initiation? We are going to define the approach that has to be followed for software testing. And who is going to do this test initiation is the project manager or product owner by taking the client requirements or user stories. A document called as test strategy document will be prepared. And all the documents are going to follow something called IEEE standards. Let us see what is the IEEE standard test strategy document look like. So what are the different properties we have in this particular test strategy document? See, these are the different fields in the test initiation or test planning strategy document. First, test strategy document ID. Here, we configure, will specify some unique name or number used to identify the document. We will provide one unique name or number to identify the document. Next, scope and objective. Here we are going to configure, we are going to specify what is the scope of your testing and why we are conducting this particular testing. We are going to configure that all. Once again. Sorry. So scope and objective means why we are conducting the software testing, that reason you are going to mention here. Next we have business issue. Business issue means budget allocation. For development, how much budget? For testing, how much budget? For maintenance, how much budget? We are going to configure that here. Budget allocation will be configured. Next, test responsibility matrix. This is the important one. Here you are going to specify what tests you are conducting and what tests you are not conducting. And if we are not conducting, why you are not conducting the test, we will mention that here. So generally as a tester, what we conduct? System test. In that we have functional tests and non-functional tests. So you will mention them. GUI testing. Yes, I am conducting the GUI testing. Input domain testing. Yes, I am conducting input domain testing. Like that. Output domain testing. Yes, I am doing that. Next, error handling testing. Also I am conducting. Database testing. Also I am conducting. Data volume testing. No, I am not conducting. What is data volume testing means? Testing the capacity of the database by input a large amount of test data. The test data is not available to me, then I cannot perform this particular test. Lack of data is the reason why I'm not doing this test. Inter-system testing. Anybody? What is inter-system testing? Anybody remember? Can hear me? You can unmute and speak.
Amazon.com or Flipkart.com, maybe payment process at the time the third party software will involved. That is
Hmm.
inter-system.
Correct. When your software is interacting with any other third-party software, the interconnectivity between the two softwares you are going to test, that is called inter-system testing. Example I given is Amazon. In Amazon side, payment gateway services we are going to use like that. Whether that payment gateway is properly working or not, you will test it. So here I am not conducting this test. The reason is there is no third-party integration to my software. When there is no third-party integration, you no need to perform that test. Next, I am conducting the recovery testing. I am conducting the usability testing, compatibility, hardware configuration. But I am not doing performance testing because lack of resources. Let's say 1 lakh people has to connect to my website. That is the requirement what client has given to me. 1 lakh people should connect to my website at a time. I cannot manually test 1 lakh connections because 1 lakh people should be there to perform that activity. That's why I'm not doing this. Security testing. Lack of skills. I don't have the knowledge of security. That's why I cannot perform this particular test. Multi-languaging. When you do this, if your website requires multi-languaging, then only you are going to perform the multi-language testing. But my application is not having any multi-language. There is no need of doing this particular test. Like that, depending on your requirement, related tests we are going to conduct. If you are not conducting any test, then you are going to mention why you are not conducting that particular test. Right. So this is what is our test responsibility matrix. Means what are all the different tests we have to conduct will be mentioned in this particular test. And followed by this. Roles and responsibilities. The product owner or project manager will define different roles to different people who are working in this particular testing department. Who are the people we have? Scrum Master will be there. Senior test engineer called QA engineers will be there. Junior testers called QC test engineers will be there. So the PO or PM will define what are the roles and responsibilities of different people in the testing department. What are the roles of Scrum Master? He has to prepare the test plan document. Scrum Master or test lead preparing the test plan document, conduction of different meetings, responsible for status reporting to the product owner or client. And what is the senior testers will do? Preparing the test scenario and test case documents, reviewing those documents, and responsible for defect tracking. And what the junior testers will do? Executing the test cases and identifying and reporting the defects to the developers. So when you join in a company, immediately you are not given the responsibility of writing the test cases or writing the test scripts. Few months you have to do only executions and reportings, test execution or test defect reporting. That's it. You don't write any test case initially. After gaining some experience, then you are posted as a senior tester. Then you are going to write the test cases or test scripts in case of automation testing. So like this, what everybody has to perform according to their roles will be defined by the project manager in case of non-agile model, product owner in case of agile. Next, test automation and testing tools. The product owner will decide whether the software is require any automation testing. If so, what kind of automation tool has to be used will be recognized by the tester in this particular phase. Then we have defect reporting and tracking. In case of this defect reporting and tracking, what we do is the product owner has to establish a communication channel between the dev team and test team. See, I'm a tester. I'm testing the software. I identified a defect. To whom I have to send the defect? To a developer. What is his mail ID? How I will know that? Or what is the dev team mail ID? How I will know that? So my product owner will establish a communication channel between the dev team and the testing team. So he will exchange the information. This is the testing team ID. This is the dev team ID. So communicate each other when you have any issues. Like that, some communication channel will be established by the PO between the dev team and test team. That is what is defect reporting and tracking. Next, configuration management and test management. It means the product owner has to establish a central repository where all the people should be able to do the work and share their work. So which computers they have to access, in what network they have to work, a configuration has to be set by the product owner. Like this. This is the central repository. This is dev base. This is soft base. This is test base. Developers will work in this network and all the work will be saved on the dev base. Once it is done, it will be shifted to the test base. And all the testers are going to work here. And where they are going to conduct the test, based on this soft base, they are going to conduct the test. Like this, some environment is configured by the product owner for the developers and testers there. This is what is our configuration property. Next, testing measurements and metrics. Means what the standards that testers has to follow will be configured under this testing measurements and metrics. Like for example, every day, how many test scenarios has to be prepared, how many test cases has to be created, how many test cases has to be executed, that will be configured under this particular property. And finally, we have something called training. So once the standards are provided, the PO will monitor whether the tester is following those standards or not. If the tester is following those standards, then he is going to provide some okay, well and good. If it is not following the standards, then some training is needed for them. Skills upgradation has to be performed to them. Further training is provided. These are all the different properties that will be configured in the IEEE standard test strategy document. This document will become as input for the next phase called test planning phase. And the test lead or scrum master is going to conduct the test planning phase. What in the test planning phase the related people is going to perform. The test lead or scrum master is going to prepare a test plan document in the test planning phase. And what the document mainly consisting of? It consisting of something like mainly these things. What to test, how to test, who to test, when to test. These are the 4 points that will be covered in the test plan document. So what to test, how to test, who to test, and when to test will be defined using the test plan document. Let's see what are the IEEE standard properties for the test plan document we are having. This is how our test plan document looks like. First, test plan document ID. Again, some unique name or number used to recognize your document. Next, introduction. Some description about your software will be mentioned. And features or modules. What are all the modules available in your software? For example, you are testing a banking software. Then we are going to mention login module, customers module, banking module, loans module, credit card module, followed by reports module. These are the different modules we are having in the software. And what are the features to be tested in the current sprint or software? What are the modules you are testing? Like I'm testing login module, customers module, and banking. And what are the features that are not to be tested in this particular sprint or software? These are the features or modules that we are not testing. So what these properties 3, 4, and 5 is representing? What to test will be represented by these 3 points. Features to be tested, features not to be tested. What to test will be defined. Next, we are having approach or strategy. Means what kind of approach you are following for your software testing. Already we prepared the test strategy document. The document ID will be mentioned here and attach the document. Next, test environment. The test lead is going to mention what are the details of software and hardware used in the tester computer. Because on which kind of computer the testing was conducted should be understandable. So that here we'll mention what is the list of hardware and software that should be available on the tester computer. Next, we have test deliverables. Means we are going to define what are the things to be delivered in this particular testing, like test case document, test scenario document, next defect report document, test traceability matrix, like what are the deliverables you are going to mention here. And the most important point is these 3 things. Entry criteria, suspension criteria, exit criteria. Means when you have to start test your application, when you have to stop testing your execution, when you have to pass your interrupt means pausing your test execution. So when you have to start your execution, when the test scenario test case documents are prepared by the testers, software or sprint is ready for release from the developers, test environment is established by the PO. When all these three are ready, then we can start doing your test execution. When the testers prepared the test case documents, when the developers are ready with the coding of the software, when the test environment was configured by the product owner, then we can start execute your tests. And what is the suspension criteria? Means when you have to pause your test. You are not stopping, you are just postponing your testing. When the test environment was abandoned, means if your test environment is crashed, or when you are getting showstopper bugs. Showstopper bug means you are unable to continue any more testing when you got that particular defect there. Those are called as showstopper bugs. Say for example, you are doing this application usage, you are adding some centers here. Already 7 centers are there. I'm adding an 8th center. It should have a different code, but by mistake I'm providing the same code for the center. So when you are trying to add that particular center, you are going to get some error, and which will stop your application execution. Runtime error is coming. When I said okay, my application is crashing. When you are unable to continue your testing after the defect is occurred, such defects are called showstopper defects. When it occurs, you have to pause your testing until that problem is resolved. Once that bug is fixed, then only I can continue my testing. Next, when you have to stop your testing, when the time was exceeded, scheduled time was reached, when all the selected tests are finished, when all the identified defects are fixed, then we are going to stop your test execution. And these points 6 to 11 will represent how to test. Next we have staff. So here we are going to specify the names of the testers who involved in the testing. Responsibilities. What are the roles of each and every tester will be configured here. Next, if you observe this 11 and 12 and 13, it represents to do test. Schedule means when you have to conduct your testing will be configured here, when to test. Risks and assumptions. Here we are going to specify any problems that might occur. You are going to provide them, or any solutions to be for resolving that problem will be configured. And finally, you have to provide the signatures of product owner and stakeholder. See, any document should have a signature, then only it will be a valid document. So related people will review the document and sign the document. So signatures of PO and stakeholder should be here. This is what is our test plan document. So in the test initiation phase, the approach of software testing is configured in the form of test strategy document. That will become as input to the next phase called test plan document, where the testers are going to, the test lead or scrum master is going to identify what to test, how to test, who to test, and when to test. They will represent that in a document called as test plan document. So the next one, test design, is the most important phase for a software tester. There we have to learn how to prepare the test case document. This is what is the entire responsibility of a tester in a real-time organization. I'm stopping the things a little early today and we'll meet on Monday. Monday we'll discuss about our test case designing. Don't miss Monday's class. It's very, very much important. This is the heart of your manual testing. How to write the test cases in Monday's class we are going to discuss it. Thank you. See you on Monday.